We have Welsh black cattle. These are ancient breed, and also we've crossed them with a belted Welsh black. So they've got a white band around the middle. Female cows who have a calf every year, and they suckle the calf, feed the calf for 10 months, and then they're separated.
You mentioned you've sort of spent time, your dad was a farmer.
Yeah.
My dad actually works in the animal agriculture industry as well. And you said that your animals were part of the family, they were valued.
Yeah.
My next question is quite a tricky one, but do you think there is a humane way to kill animals?
Yes, there is. As someone who has killed animals, and I speak to a lot of farmers here about, making it more humane.
We have to travel 80 miles to a slaughterhouse, and the legislation, EU legislation, which forbids you to kill your animals at home unless you're eating it yourself.
Right.
I want to change that it's viable and it's easy, more amenable to farmers to do it, for small farms to do it on the place, instead of animals have to travel so many miles to face the end. It's not, I can't blame people for being vegetarians with that sort of thing happening.
What would it entail, the ideal for you, the ideal killing of an animal?
I would say there would be people to support the farmer, because it is, you're letting go of some an animal you love. All farmers I know love their animals, right? So you are letting them go. So it means somewhere small, intimate, and you're being gentle with that animal, and you need to look that animal in the eye and thank it before letting it go. Yeah.
Would you use a knife?
I would use a knife. There are different methods depending on the animal.
Do you feel any feelings of guilt towards the animals when they get sent off to slaughterhouses?
I do. When I take my pigs up to a slaughterhouse 80 miles away, they run up to the trailer. When I get there, they don't want to get off the trailer because they can smell death. And I feel guilty because I've treated them with love and care while they're with me on the farm. And it should be my right to end their life cycle in a way that is no suffering to the animal.
I know I was vegetarian, vegan for a very long time, and when I got pregnant, had to eat meat. Because I was so ill. Yeah.
Do you think there are any nutrients that we can't get from, say like a vegan diet that we could get from an animal-based diet?
There are people and dietitians and doctors and nutritionists who say that we can get everything we want from sort of plants.
But what are you going to do with all the animals in the world? Are you going to leave them breed and multi-breed?
As people buy less and less animal products, the number of animals they breed into existence go down, so we breed less into existence until we, I guess, stop breeding them.
Yeah.
If we don't eat them, then we lose those animals as a species as well. So yeah.
But could I not use the same logic to justify dog fighting and say if we didn't use those dogs, they wouldn't be bred into existence?
Dog fighting is violent. That is an act of violence. We don't need to do that. Yeah, that is not necessary. Food is necessary for life.
You'd say that the dog fighting is purely for pleasure.
Yeah.
And I would ask you: is eating meat not for taste pleasure too?
Eating meat does provide some taste pleasure, but it also provides nutrients as well.
Nutrients that we can get from elsewhere?
Not necessarily. All right, in terms of it being a good source of iron, yeah, for some people who can't process pulses, all right, meat is probably one of the best sources
but
of
there's
iron.
Plenty of sources of iron in plants, different sources of iron.
And the amount
leafy greens.
But the amount you'll have to eat, to actually access that.
So
is totally different.
I mean,
I've researched it. Believe me, I've researched it.
I understand. Yeah. I would just say that the research doesn't show that vegans have a higher likelihood of an iron deficiency.
Well, all vegans I know have had to come back to meat.
are you vegan?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You look quite healthy in it.
Oh, thank you very much.
You've got that cycle. And if you're going to sort that cycle out to be animal free, well, you've got a big task ahead of you.
Absolutely, but I think when people are educated about what happens in the industries, if we think about artificial insemination, we think about mutilation of pigs having their tails ripped off, all of this stuff.
I agree.
The suffering is so great that I think it really demands attention.
All the people I know who are lifelong vegans have had to start introducing meat and fish into their diets.
I suppose the thing is we have to look at the science rather than the anecdotal evidence, and we know that the major health organisations like the American Dietetic Association have come out and said it's perfectly healthy to be vegan. Based on the scientific journal.
But the thing is, we put too much trust into science. Yeah.
But I'd like to get at the meat of what I'm trying to say, and that's you say
that's the wrong word for a vegan.
You can get vegan meat now. You should try it.
Is it genetically modified?
Oh, the animals are genetically modified as well, though, aren't they?
No, not yet.
So we breed them. I think you said you interbred them to have like a white strip.
Yeah. They have a bull.
So we're controlling the genetics.
They have a honeymoon together for 6 weeks to 10 weeks in the year. All right?
That is my personal choice. I don't. All right, but within that, vegans need to be looking at how they're exploiting other people in other parts of the world, how their choices are impacting on other parts of the world. Yeah, because right now forests are being decimated, not just to grow soy for cattle, but to grow soy for vegan products.
Sure, but it's not. Soy isn't a vegan-specific food. Most of it goes to meat eaters.
If you're buying meat from within that system, if you are buying meat from in a traditional
I mean even the soy that goes to the West, most of the people consuming it aren't vegans. Only like about 1 or 2% of the population are vegan. But you mentioned personal choice. Do you think we should have the personal choice to cause violence to animals?
Right, but you are seeing it as violence, and you're coming from a Western, Eurocentric viewpoints that. And to do that to an animal is violent.
Would sticking a knife in someone's throat not be seen as violent to you? What do you think about fox hunting?
I agree with it. I don't like them coming and killing my chickens.
I guess if you stop breeding the chickens, they won't be doing it.
Come on. Got to have eggs.
Wait, let me ask you this. This is a good question.
That's the wrong question for you. Right.
The chickens you buy these hens from a breeder.
Yes.
What happens to the male chicks?
No, we don't breed chickens. We buy chickens and they roam on the farm and they lay eggs for us.
Absolutely.
That's the way.
So the breeder, what do they do with the male chickens, the male chicks?
I know what you're trying to say, and I totally disagree with it.
The maceration of male chicks,
We've sort of destroyed livelihoods of people in sort of South America with our love for quinoa as sort of Westerners and being vegan, which is a good source of protein. Yeah, so the quinoa I buy is grown here. How many people can say that?
But you agree that the majority of quinoa is bought by non-vegans?
No, it's bought by vegans and it comes from abroad.
But so vegans
which is damaging, sort of livelihoods of people there because that is their food that they depend on, but they're growing it for export.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so vegans make up such a small percentage of the population that the majority of this food is being fed by non-vegans. There's no way of the population is causing all these issues.
Now, the vegan agenda is coming through into policy and big business who sort of controls a lot of things. Yeah, they follow in suit.
And the vegan agenda is to reduce animal suffering and exploitation.
Yeah.
So you would agree with this?
I agree with that.
A cow will live about 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay? And then it'll get old and it'll die.
How old are they when they're sent to slaughter on your farm?
2 years. But that's the way it is.
I know, and it's the way you've been brought up into this industry.
That's the way we're brought up, the way to stop eating it, and say. But then again, I say stop eating it. It just won't happen like that.
It can.
What you need to do is make it better than it is.
But we need to have a different type of farming and to support small farms, right, who treat their animals well.
But then they slit their throat. So I guess that's where we differ. So I think there's something intrinsically wrong about slitting someone's throat for an unnecessary reason.
Yeah, and you've just said you're personifying an animal.
I'm not. So I don't believe in animals as equal to you, but I
Yeah.
just believe that their life is more important than your taste buds.
It's not just taste buds. All right, it's not just taste buds. All right, I think you need to get out of that head, yeah, and think more globally, more universally, and see how people live.
But I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to people
Yeah,
here today
yeah,
who live in
and-
London.
Yeah, who live in London and who has a connection elsewhere. Most vegan food comes from elsewhere, so we need to think about elsewhere.
Yeah, and I would just say that the food's coming from elsewhere to feed the animals that we eat as well.
Yeah.
So we'd actually use less plants if we went vegan.
Yeah,
I know this is an extreme example, but slavery.
Yeah.
People didn't accept better conditions, happier slaves. They said,
No.
these humans don't belong to us. They're not ours to exploit. They have their own life.
That's true.
So could I not say these animals? They shouldn't belong to us. They're not for us. If we don't need to, we should let them be free. We should leave them alone.
Don't you think we're still slaves?
I am divinely guided, and right now, that is how I eat until I'm guided differently. I listen to me, my body, yeah.
And we should also listen to the victims of our choices. That's all I'm saying. We should listen to the
Yeah.
ones who are dying for us because they
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah.
Do you think that you are betraying the animals when you send them
No.
to a knife?
No, I give them the best life they can for that period of life.
But at that point where they trust you and you send them to that place, is that a betrayal?
I feel guilty, yes. I will admit that it is a betrayal, but it's the way it is.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. It's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, good. I'll have a debate with you any day.
Lovely. I'll give you a card actually, if you want to ever want to contact me or.
Yeah.
Um,
I doubt it.